I am a follower of Jesus Christ. I have an opinion and I share it with you. I am the salt of the earth. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Salt of the Earth podcast. Let's talk about the biggest story of the week, April 6th to the 12th, 2025. Because, wow, what a roller coaster! The U.S China trade showdown exploded, markets went wild, and the usual suspects on the left lost their minds. But don't worry, we are keeping it neutral, optimistic, and maybe just a touch sarcastic, especially when it comes to the fear mongering Democrats who can stop demonizing President Donald Trump. Buckle up, because we are going to unpack tariffs, explain why they are going to make America filthy rich in the long run, and have a little fun along the way. Let's roll. So, what happened this week? Picture this. President Trump wakes up, probably sips his Diet Coke, and says, "You know what? Let's shake things up." He slaps his massive tariffs on Chinese goods, everything from iPhones to those cheap plastic toys your dog chews up in 10 seconds. China, not exactly thrilled, fires back with 125% tariffs on US stuff like soybeans, cars, and bourbon. The stock market hears this and decides to audition for a horror movie, with the S&P 500 tanking 9% early in the week. Its worst performance since the COVID panic of 2020. Treasury yields? They shot up like a SpaceX rocket, marking their biggest weekly jump in over 20 years. And consumer sentiment? Woof! It nosedived to near historic lows, with people acting like the sky's falling. Now, if you listened to the Democrats, and I know you try not to, they'd have you believe this is Armageddon. They are out there screaming, "President Trump's tariffs are reckless. He's ruining the economy. Hide your kids, hide your 401k. Same old playbook. Fear, panic, and demonizing President Trump like he's the Grinch who stole their avocado toast. But let's take a deep breath, because this trade war doesn't stop. It's not the end of the world. In fact, it's the start of something pretty darn exciting for America. Let's break it down. First, a quick explainer on tariffs, because I know some of you are thinking, isn't that just a fancy tax? Yeah, pretty much. A tariff is a tax the government puts on imported goods to make them more expensive. Why? So people buy stuff made at home instead. Think of it like this. You are at the store and a Chinese-made widget costs $10, but an American-made widget is $12. If President Trump slaps a 25% tariff on the Chinese one, it's now $12.50. Suddenly, that American widget looks like a bargain, and factories in Ohio starts humming. Now, the left loves to wail that tariffs raise prices and hurt consumers. And sure, in the short term, your Walmart cart might cost a bit more. But here's the thing they conveniently ignore. Tariffs are a long-game strategy. They're about bringing jobs back to America, rebuilding industries we've lost, and making sure we are not begging China for our next iPhone or face mask. The Democrats? They'd rather clutch their pearls and cry about global cooperation while our manufacturing base rots. Sorry, Nancy, but I would take a few extra bucks on my grocery bill if it means my neighbors got a job again. Let's talk about that market plunge. The S&P 500 dropping 9% sounds scary, right? But here's the kicker. Markets are drama queens. They overreact to everything. Tariffs, tweets, even a bad jobs report. By midweek, President Trump threw everyone a curveball and passed some of the tariffs for 90 days to cool things off. Guess what? The markets bounce back. Because that's what they do when people realize the world's not actually ending. Treasury yields spiking? That's just investor betting on growth and maybe a little inflation. Nothing a strong economy can't handle. And consumer sentiment tanking? Pfft, give it a month. Americans love a comeback story, and we are about to write a big one. But you wouldn't know that if you listened to the Democrats and the state funded media. They are out there acting like President Trump personally crashed your retirement fund. He's unhinged, they shriek. He's destroying our future. Oh, please. This is the same crew that spent years telling us the economy was doomed because of tax cuts or border walls. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Their entire shtick is fear. Fear of change, fear of strength, fear of a guy who doesn't play by the rules. Meanwhile, President Trump's looking at the big picture, an America that makes its own stuff, sells its own stuff, and doesn't bow to Beijing. Here's where it gets good. Tariffs aren't just about sticking it to China, though, let's be real, that's a nice bonus. They're about rebuilding America's wealth. For decades, we've been shipping our jobs overseas because it was cheaper. Cheaper for who? Not the folks in Michigan or Pennsylvania watching their factories close. Not the communities gutted when the steel mills shuts down. Tariffs flip that script. When Chinese goods get pricier, companies start thinking, hey, maybe we should build that factory in Alabama instead. And when they do, jobs come back. Wages go up, towns thrive. That's not a pipe dream. That's economics 101. Let's do a quick thought experiment. Imagine it's 2030. Thanks to President Trump's tariffs, America's got new factories popping up like Starbucks used to. We are making our own solar panels, our own cars, our own microchips. China's not calling the shots anymore because we don't need their junk. Our trade deficit? Slashed. Our GDP? Soaring. And those higher prices the left keeps whining about? They are temporary because competition kicks in when American companies ramp up. That's how you build wealth. Not by importing cheap sneakers, but by making stuff the world wants to buy. Oh, and let's not forget the tax revenue. Tariffs bring in billions to the treasury. That's money for roads, schools, maybe even a shiny new border wall. Sorry, had to. The point is, tariffs are like planting a tree today that gives you shade tomorrow. The Democrats don't get that because they are too busy hyperventilating over President Trump's latest tweet to think about the future. Now, let's talk about China's retaliation. 125% tariffs on our goods. Sounds bad, right? But here's the secret. China needs us more than we need them. They are hooked on our markets, our tech, our agriculture. Slapping tariffs on U.S. soybeans? Fine. We'll sell to India or Brazil. Bourbon? Europe's got a taste for it. China's playing tough, but their economy's wobbling. Ghost cities, debt bubbles, you name it. President Trump knows this, which is why he's not blinking. He's playing chess while the left's playing checkers, crying about trade wars like it's 1929. Newsflash, it's not. We are the biggest economy on the planet, and we are about to flex. Speaking of the left, can we just take a second to appreciate their consistency? President Trump could cure cancer, and they'd complain he didn't do it fast enough. This week, they trotted out the usual talking heads. Chuck Schumer looking like he just bit a lemon. AOC tweeting something about capitalist greed. Their message? Tariffs are evil. President Trump's a monster, and we are all doomed. It's like they've got a Mad Libs book title, How to Hate Trump. Insert adjective, add doom, repeat. But here's the thing. Americans are smarter than that. We see through the hysteria. We know President Trump's not perfect. Nobody is. But he's fighting for us, not some globalist fantasy where we all hold hands and think about free trade. Imagine all the people. The Democrats want you scared because scared people don't take risks. They don't build factories. They don't dream big. Well, tough luck because America's dreaming big again and tariffs are the spark. So, where does this leave us? The markets will settle because they always do. Prices might pinch for a bit, but that's the price of independence. And China? They'll come to the table because they always do when the chips are down. President Trump's tariffs are a bold move, and bold moves win. In 5, 10 years, we'll look back and say, man, that was when America got its groove back. We'll have jobs, wealth, pride, the kind of country our kids deserve. The Democrats will keep screaming because that's their cardio. But you, dear listener, don't need to buy the fear. You are smarter than that. You know tariffs are a tool, not a boogeyman. And you know President Trump's got a vision, even if the left can see past their own talking points. So let's raise our glass to a future where we make it here, sell it here, and win right here. Be the salt of the earth.